Welcome to the Alsco Uniforms It Pays to Keep Clean podcast. Join us as we spend time with Alsco Chief Operating Officer Jim Kearns. I'm your host, Dana Craig. Let's get started. Good afternoon, Jim. How are you doing?
Great, Dana. How are you?
Having a good spring so far?
So far.
Yeah, Salt
Beautiful
Lake is
day.
it is gorgeous. Turning green, doing all the good stuff. So we wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about your most recent set of branch visits, and it was really a whirlwind tour I think you all were on, and saw 4 different locations in a matter of 4 days.
Right.
Yeah, and so you started out in Nashville, I believe. Is that
Yeah,
right?
right.
Okay, and how'd things go there? When was the last time you were in Nashville at the actual branch?
That's a good question. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
I was in Nashville not too long ago for a TRSA meeting, but didn't go see the branch. So it's
Right.
been a while since I've been to the branch.
Yeah, and it's a fun town, but yeah, is the branch as much fun as the town is?
Yeah, I mean the branch is as much fun as the town. It's where the branch is located. It's being a lot of development around the branch.
A lot of construction.
A lot of new buildings.
Yeah.
So very gentrified area.
Dwayne Kotzel is our general manager there,
Yep.
and I'm sure you met with all the management team. And did you spend any time with the RSRs? Were you out on the dock with?
We did.
Them in the morning?
It's not much of a dock in Nashville, so it's kind of an alleyway, and so you got to be
Wow.
careful when you're out there. But yeah, we did spend some time with them. The team looked great. That was the one thing I will comment on all of the branches that we visited, because I talked to the team prior and felt like, if we're in the uniform business, our drivers should look like we're in the
look
uniform.
sharp.
Yeah, look
Yeah.
sharp and well put together, and they did. And they did.
Great.
They did at all the plants, and so that was one of the first things that jumped out at me is seeing that. But yeah, we had good conversations with the team out there.
And what about their growth strategy, growth plans? Do they feel like they're making progress?
They're making very good progress. They're making good progress in growth and good progress in lost business.
Oh,
So,
awesome! That's great.
yeah, they're doing a good job there. And look, we went out to dinner the night before we did the plant visit, and we went to a customer's account that what I was told is that we had lost this account, but the RSR had maintained a relationship with this account, and we were actually able to get that business back because of his
Through the RSR.
and
That's
through his continued relationship
Wow.
with them. And so I thought that was a great story, and it really did give us insight into what a vibrant town this is. It was some outdoor space, a beautiful day, kind of like today here, but lots of opportunities in Nashville. What a great place to do business there. So
Yeah, so I imagine at least the downtown area, and I'm sure that they service a wider geography than
They
that,
do.
but I equate it with, live music, great food, outdoor kind of entertainment. So things that would fit more into that pure F&B bucket. Do they have other target market types of opportunities
they
in
have
Nashville?
they have uniform opportunities. They have some retail medical healthcare type
Okay.
opportunities. So it's all there for them.
And then you went from there to St. Louis, I believe.
St. Louis,
Yeah, and St. Louis is one of your visits from last year, too. I
Right.
think 2 of the ones this time, St. Louis and Chicago, you were actually in last year. So these were repeat visits for you, which is kind of maybe a nice way to make some comparisons and the difference that a year makes. Matt Eggers is our general manager
Right.
in St. Louis, so tell us a little bit about your visit there.
Well, we do the visits. We travel to the location. The most interesting thing was, when we checked into the hotel, we happened to stay right by the baseball park. I could look into the outfield, and if they would have been happening to play a game, that would have been something. I guess the Cardinals haven't been doing great in the past few years, but it's a baseball town, right? And we went out to dinner that night at one of their local accounts, an Italian place that was in an older neighborhood. But what a great experience. I mean, it was a nice account, busy, so that was fun to see.
And it would have been a weeknight, too, so busy,
It was
like on a
weeknight,
Tuesday or
Tuesday
something.
night,
Yeah.
right? And so, yeah, it was nice to go out to, not one of their fanciest restaurants, but a real local favorite.
Right.
Been around for a long time, so that was fun. I asked them if they were happy with our service, and of course, they said they thought our service was great and our product looked good. So it was nice to see that.
Very good. And so the next morning, then you would have started an early morning at the branch.
Right.
And how did that visit go?
The visit went great. That plant, look, the 5S in that plant is great. They've got a great chief engineer. He had pointed out to us some areas of concern inside the plant. Some dryers and a bagger that we've replaced, and so it was great to see that. But
last year he mentioned those. 2 years
last year we
right?
mentioned
Okay.
that, and this year, there was some follow up. They actually, have new equipment in there, and so it's much safer for our employees. We're getting a lot more productivity out of it. We had a lot of great conversations with their drivers. They've got a good service team there, and again, these guys wore their uniforms proudly, and so they looked good. So, that was nice. We're putting in we have a new depot
Yes.
in Springfield,
Yeah.
and so the depot manager was there, and he's been in that area for a long time, and so we're fortunate to have him.
He had come from a competitor.
He
I
had
think
come
you
from
had
a
mentioned.
competitor
Yeah,
that
so he's
had
pretty
pulled out-
seasoned and
Very seasoned, well connected. The competitor had pulled out of the market, and so we're lucky that that he'd come to work for us. And
Absolutely.
he's very happy. But we've just installed the Springfield Clinic, and that's going well. And so it was great to hear that this. We talked a little bit about these opportunities last time, and that we were looking at Springfield, and so it was nice to land that account and expand up in that area.
right. So that landing that account was the purpose for opening the depot, so
Exactly.
that we could service it properly. The depot's only been open, I suppose, for a few months, and only
Right.
recently have we started the installation of that account, right?
Yep.
But I assume Springfield has a lot of other opportunity, or in that corridor from St. Louis to Springfield.
Particularly
Or the-
with this, with some local knowledge there, with our
Yeah.
depot manager. We've got a lot of terrific targets. Our funnels are starting to fill up,
Oh, great.
sales funnels there,
Yeah.
so that's great. But Matt did a great presentation. In the way he presented his material, the way he understands our layering reports, our strategic monthly reports, it was great to see. He did a terrific job presenting the information to us. So
Good.
Yeah, I was very impressed.
So will you go back again next year and have a different expectation, or do you feel like they're settled for a bit?
I'd love to go back,
Yeah.
every year and see plants like St.
Sure.
Louis, because everything's going right for St. Louis. St. Louis, the new business is going up, the lost business is going down. He might not be happy for me to say this, but he predicts that he'll come in ahead of budget in 2025, and so he's very optimistic about his results.
Yeah, if he was hoping for you to be forgetful about that,
No,
he's
but
wrong.
no, I wrote it down, and
Yeah, I bet.
But it's there's a lot of optimism, a lot of confidence
That's
that
great.
these people have,
Yeah.
and they're. It's nice to see them gaining some traction. So, that plant could be twice its size,
what it
right?
is,
It's
yeah.
got a lot of capacity, and
Yeah.
so.
Well, it
yeah.
sounds like they're on their way.
And they can do, obviously they're doing healthcare, they're doing it in
Yes.
Springfield, they can do it in St. Louis. We can do uniforms, we can do lots of things
Yeah.
there, so,
Okay, well, exciting. Well, maybe you'll get a third
yeah.
time back there, and we'll try to send you back when the Cardinals are
Yeah.
playing, if that helps. Then it was on to Chicago, also one that you visited last year. Chicago is undergoing a large project at the moment, which we can talk a bit about. Has new management within the last maybe 6 months or so. Does that
Yeah.
sound about right? And so what was your experience there? Loy Willis is our
Yep.
new general manager in Chicago, and how did your visit there go?
Like all of these visits, we started off in the route room, which was really their cafeteria where we
Yeah.
met. They've got a pretty good sized route group, and it started off. The dialogue was slow to begin with, but we ended up having a great conversation with these guys. They, once they started talking, right? They started telling us, issues that they were having within the plant, issues that they were having with their customers, things that were working, things that weren't working, and we got a lot of good ideas from these guys. A lot of specific things to follow up on. So great discussion there. And they didn't.
So they must be fairly long tenured, or at least a core group of them have probably been around for a while.
I think a lot of these guys had been there for a while, and it was nice to see some trust in the room that they could talk about.
Absolutely.
Issues that they were having, and look, it's a challenging environment in Chicago right now with the project that's going on, and it's not just impacting the production people, it's impacting the service teams and our customers, and so we're all working together to try to get through this.
That's right. And I think when we are on the other side of it, and we're creeping closer to being on the other side of it, it should be, it's a project that was really in large part spawned by your visit last year, when you saw kind of the space available, the capacity that they have, but really capacity that they're not able to take advantage of because of aging equipment and things like that. So this new soil sort deck and kind of fully automated wash aisle that will be new, that should help to kind of transform what they're able to produce in there, and hopefully they'll be off to the races after that.
Right. I can remember early in my career going to the original Chicago linen plant. And early in my career, we sold that facility, bought this new facility, put in these tunnel washers, and this is the first kind of major overhaul of some of that equipment in 20 plus years, right? And so it's overdue, right?
Yeah.
They've experienced a lot of downtime problems, and that also has a negative impact on service, production, and all that sort of stuff. And so they will be positioned to succeed in the future. There's tremendous growth opportunities in Chicago. We've signed up, some big name accounts. I can remember early on in my career, there's a famous restaurant called Gibson's. That was an account of ours back then. It had gone to a competitor. It's now a new customer today, and they're a much bigger
I
group.
think actually, I don't remember quite when I was there last, but I sat in on a growth meeting, and that was the week that they were starting to install some of the Gibsons.
And so they've got a lot of great things going on. That plant services all of our linen needs in Wisconsin as well.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, these guys, these guys cover quite a geography there. Yeah. But I was really impressed with the route meeting there. But we do have our challenges. So I definitely will be back in Chicago.
I was going to say, they probably earned a repeat visit.
Yeah, I might not wait a year, but look, we have high expectations for what we're going to be able to do with this new equipment and the capacity that we have in the plant. We've got a lot of salespeople in Chicago, lots of opportunities there. So.
And it's very exciting to get new equipment. It's an investment that the company is continuing to make in our customer base and in our branches. But it is not child's play to attempt to keep your business running without any blips while you move pieces of equipment around. And this is a sizable project too. It's not putting in one single piece of equipment.
Look, our employees are doing a great job working through this. I mean, it's if we didn't have people that were willing to take on this challenge, work through it, work hard every day, hats off to them for what they've endured and how they've adapted. So they've done a great job.
And then your final branch on that visit was up to Milwaukee, our Milwaukee industrial plant. So primarily they're doing industrial uniforms. And our general manager there is Greg Crowley, who I know is a long tenured Alsco employee and somebody that you've known for a long time. When was the last time you were there? That was probably a long time ago. Just after COVID started. Oh, okay.
Was the last time that I was there.
Okay, so hasn't been as long as some of these other ones.
It's been more recent than say Nashville for sure. But it hasn't been too long. But look, I was pleasantly surprised going to Milwaukee this time for a variety of different reasons. I mean, they probably have more. Their RSRs are more tenured than probably any of the other locations that that we'd been to. And so it was nice talking with those guys. We talked a lot about selling, right? And look, these guys have really embraced first aid cabinets.
Oh, great.
Their DMs had first aid cabinets. These guys sold first aid cabinets. They understood the advantage of our product compared to our competitors. So, these guys were out there. And so, yeah, and these guys, again, they look sharp. And they wore their uniforms the way that they should be worn.
Right.
So,
how are they doing on the growth side of things? Competitive marketplace? First aid cabinets, RSR sales, maybe they've.
So our RSR sales are going well. We
Yeah.
have a new regional sales manager there, and he's doing a great job. And I wouldn't say Greg used to be anti-sales,
Yeah.
but I would say today he's pro-sales. And he said he's never seen the funnels so full as they are today.
Well, that'll get you excited. If you're, that'll get you excited because you can see the opportunity there.
Yeah, and so that he was very bullish about the new accounts.
Great.
So he's too, like St. Louis, expects to finish ahead of budget.
That's great.
Yeah, 20+% EBITDA. So that was terrific to hear, and
A nice note to end your trip on too.
For sure. But what was really great about that visit was his team, right? His engineer was terrific. They've done a lot of 5S and really brightened up the place. So the facility looked great. My recollection was they've made a lot of improvements from the last
Sure.
time that I was there. And one department in particular, we've got these new dry cleaning machines that are.
Yeah, you talked about this.
Yeah, very impressive.
Yes.
And just this room smells better. It looks better. It's brighter.
And it's a more environmentally conscious dry cleaning
For sure.
solution, which
Yeah.
is key.
Yeah, it's not harmful to the environment, and so very impressive. Two big machines. I'm told they're some of the biggest machines that you'll find in the country. It's fascinating to watch, right?
Sure.
Very interesting. But the production manager there was terrific. He walked around and the tour he gave us and the explanations, and what they're doing with their team was terrific. So, it's a pretty well-run branch today, and he's got a
Great.
good team there.
Well, good. I'm glad that was how you ended the trip, and
Yeah.
I'm sure Greg was pleased to.
Yeah, he did.
To show you all
Greg
around.
and his team, they did a great
They
job.
were prepared. Yeah,
Great job.
that's good. And so you had a few bonus visits to. So you had the week of trips, which was just to those four, but then you and Bob and Andrew had an opportunity to visit, or in their case, revisit some of the newly acquired facilities. Talk a little bit about where you went and what you saw.
So we first went to Brockton, that's outside of Boston. I hadn't been to Brockton since we looked at this plant, before we acquired it. So quite a while ago, a few years ago. Bob and Andrew had been there and kind of did a welcome to Alsco
Right within
orientation.
that first month of the transition.
Yeah, and which was important. But I wasn't available and didn't go on that trip. So look, driving around Boston, it's you can see why we want to be in Boston,
Absolutely.
right? Lots of opportunities. We probably waited too long. But Brockton needs some help, right?
Yeah.
They're new to the business. People were terrific, happy to see us. But they need some help, and so we're committed to making the investments necessary to get them to that they can adopt all of the Alsco practices and procedures and really expand and take advantage of that great marketplace that they're in. So I need to get to we do some processing in Hyannis. I'd like to go see that facility again. Both Andrew and Bob commented that the facility looks a lot better than when they were first there.
Continues to improve, yeah.
Right, they've done some 5S, and so it shows. Stratford's the other
Yes.
operation that we acquired in that acquisition. So I'd like to get out there soon as well.
Good. And then you went on to Allentown, which is our most recent acquisition, closed early February, I believe, from the Macintosh Linen Services.
Right.
And you'd been there perhaps during due diligence or kind of right around the time that we...
Yeah, so, I can't remember when we first started due diligence, but I'd been there once before we acquired them, and spent just a short amount of time there. And so it was nice to go back, and we did the, same thing that we did shortly after we acquired Churchill. Bob and Andrew and I did an orientation, welcome to Alsco, shared with them our mission, vision, values, and, things that are, tried to impart on them our culture. And look, it was terrific. We had a lady, one of the production people, who helped interpret for us, but we met inside the plant. The people were super excited, very happy to see us.
They're a fun group.
Yeah, fun group, good group. And so, it was great to, to welcome them to Alsco and tell them how much we appreciate them and how valuable they are, and, how excited we are for them to be part of our family. Right. I don't think we're going to have much trouble in Allentown getting them to adopt our culture.
No, I would suspect the same. They seem ready. If anything, they're more ready than what our readiness is to be able to, because, the acquisitions are such a big deal to get to the point of closing and the point of onboarding and getting everybody going. But it's a long road. It's, it's a layered approach. It's not just a week and we've done it all, or watch these 3 videos and you'll be good. There's a lot more to it than that. So
they've got a good local team there. Jim Rogers is going to be a good leader for us. Great market.
And they've already started working cooperatively with some of the branches that are in that area, like Wilmington.
And it's a nice facility. It's got a lot of opportunity. We've had some equipment issues there, but that's something, we have the capability and expertise to get them, working a little bit more smoothly. But it's going to be a great opportunity for us in a market that, kind of like Boston, is a place we probably should have been in sooner. But,
right. Well, we're there now. We just
we're
got to
there
make
now,
the most of
and
it.
and we're well positioned.
Great. Well, thank you very much,
Thank you.
and we will chat again soon.
Perfect.
That's all for today's episode of the It Pays to Keep Clean podcast. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the world of Alsco Uniforms, where we explore the growth and challenges in our industry. Tune in next time for more industry insights, growth strategies, and tales from the field. If you've enjoyed our time together, please leave us a rating and review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. If you want to learn more about our services, visit us at alsco.com. From all of us here at the It Pays to Keep Clean podcast and Alsco Uniforms, thank you for listening. Stay safe, stay clean, and we'll see you in the next episode.